Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. So today's session we're actually going to be talking about NVIDIA, and they actually had their GTC session on March 18th, 2025, and it was phenomenal. So the GTC session is really just NVIDIA launching their new products that they would have been developing over the past year, 2 years, and so they're really just bringing this forward to the market. So the GTC session is very similar to Apple when they have their launch days. So when they release new models or new upgrades to their iPhones, their iPads, MacBooks, all those other gadgets that they would have created. And so Apple's launch day would be geared towards iPhone and Apple users, tech users, but more particularly Apple users, while Nvidia is geared towards persons within the AI space. And so, with this being said, it was a lot that happened for the day, and the one of the biggest takeaways from the GTC session was that NVIDIA is actually working on AI factories. So, how things stay right now is that if you're into programming, you're into coding, you're into any sort of thing that would require some sort of computer science or programming, then currently what you'd be doing is that you'd be writing those codes, and then those codes and programs would be stored on a file on the computer, and then the system would actually get those programs from the file. So they'll be pulling it from the file and then actually using it to create what they need to. So instead, what NVIDIA is working on is that what you would do is you would essentially write a code or program for the actual AI system, and then they would then be able to generate their own programming and coding afterwards. So you just initially need to give it that initial response and prompt, and then this AI would actually create the actual coding to do the features, regardless of what it is, whether it's to build a new website, whether it's to actually have a landing page, a new product, some pictures, whatever it is, these AI systems would be in such a way that it would be able to write these codes so that you as the human being would not need to necessarily write them, but instead all you need to do is just monitor and maintain and ensure that everything is being done effectively and efficiently. So this will save a lot of time, because we know that when it comes down to coding, it takes hours, sometimes days, to just sit down and write a proper code. So with the AI now being able to write and generate these codes, it could be done in a few minutes, and so the actual programmer would be able to write a few codes, and all they'd have to do is just monitor these AI systems to ensure that everything is up to date, everything is going smoothly, everything is going well. Now, another key takeaway from the session was that NVIDIA is currently working on Cosmos, and what Cosmos really is that it will be used in autonomous driving. So autonomous driving has been the talking point ever since Tesla made it big and became a household name. So Tesla's biggest goals were to actually create autonomous driving cars. And so though there are a few on the roads in states such as San Francisco in the United States, and it's really not Tesla that is used, but it's more, they actually partnered with Waymo, and it's more of a Jaguar I-Pace that is actually used in these autonomous driving cars. So what NVIDIA is doing is that they're actually creating a system so that Cosmos can actually operate within these cars. And so what Cosmos would do is that it would actually have working in cohesion with them is that it would actually have Omniverse being worked alongside with it. The Omniverse is the actual simulation of the real world that will be used to train the AI model and to train the actual devices that would be used. And so what NVIDIA will be doing is that they'll be running both Cosmos and Omniverse at the same time. And so what will happen is that the AI autonomous driving vehicles will actually be mirroring both at the same time. So what it will be doing is that Cosmos will take into account effectively pretty much all cars within their surroundings. So vehicles in front, behind, around, ongoing traffic, the actual stoplights, speed limits, those sorts of things. And it actually will be only operating within a certain speed limit. So there's a range in which the autonomous driving features would actually be able to operate within. And so with Omniverse would actually be generating these real life scenarios, these real life images into the simulation so that the model will be actually training in real life. So this is revolutionary. This is going to change the game, because as it stands right now, the features on the cars that currently use autonomous driving, the technology is not as well developed. So they use the actual satellite imaging, so they connect directly with the satellites, and they have a few points around them so that the car will know if there is any ongoing traffic or any objects that is coming towards it, and so it would alert these. And so what NVIDIA is doing is that they are creating a chip that would process everything in real life at the same time so that the model can effectively and efficiently work to the most optimal solution right now at this point. Another key talking point, and this was a applaud winning moment for Jensen Yuan, was that as it stands right now, there are two models of AI generative system that is currently being used. So the current more popular one is the traditional LLM model, and what NVIDIA is working on is an actual reasoning model. So the difference between the LLM and the reasoning model is that the LLM models, you'd give it a prompt and then it will give you the best solution based on the prompt that you would have given it. The reasoning model, on the other hand, would actually deduce the prompt that you are asking. It goes through every possible scenario and then it gives you the best solution for that scenario. So during the presentation, Jensen Yuan had actually ran a scenario where he said that there were 7 persons at a wedding and they did not get along, and he wanted to know the best seating arrangements for these 7 persons. So when he had inputted it in the traditional LLM model, it actually had stated a few reshuffling and moving of persons, and so the solution was that some persons would remain, other persons would move to another seat, and you wouldn't put certain people beside each other. Now, when the reasoning model actually had done this, it took a little bit longer, so maybe a few seconds longer, less than 30 seconds, less than 15 seconds actually. And what had happened was that based on the entire scenario provided and all the possible outcomes that were run through, the model actually had suggested that the best solution for this problem was to actually have a pastor sitting at that table to maintain the peace. And so Jensen Yuan had stated that the only other person that would have been able to come up with this solution would have been the mother-in-law. So when these models were actually being run, it was actually tokens that the AI models use. And so what the tokens really is just thinking. So it's like you thinking of a scenario and you're thinking about the different solutions and what is the best outcome for it. So it's the same way with the artificial intelligence. The difference is that the token would be the thinking, and so with traditional LLM models, it was a lot less tokens that were used compared to the reasoning model, and the timing in which the data was given was also a lot shorter as well too. But in reality, the most optical or best solution was given through the reasoning model. It took a few more steps. It actually had deciphered the data and reconstructed it to give you the best solution. And so the token increase actually was about 2 to 3 times the amount of the traditional LLM model. And so this really shows how in-depth the thought that really went into all of this. And next thing that I want to share with you from the GTC summit was that NVIDIA had spoken about DGX workstations. So GDX workstations is actually, so the GDX1 workstation is currently being developed, and what it will do is that it will run. So as it stands right now, there are about 30 million software engineers in the world, and 100% of these software engineers will actually be using AI assistants. And how it's currently run right now will be completely different in the future with NVIDIA chips. So what NVIDIA really is doing is that with the DGX workstations, they are planning on actually having it target specifically data scientists and researchers for artificial intelligence. And this is because these two fields are so heavily data driven that they really need something to keep up with the data that is churning and just being processed by the system. And so there are only very select chips that can actually keep up with all of this that these scientists run. And so what NVIDIA is saying that is that we are going to be creating these chips so that these persons can actually use our technology and still operate at an optimal and efficient standpoint and data analysis. So what they really are doing is that by targeting these persons, they will be able to actually get the best solutions for a fraction of the price that they would be paying. So they'd actually be getting the best solutions out there. And another thing is that NVIDIA is currently partnering with Dell to give a special line of computer. So as it stands right now, Dell will be partnering, NVIDIA will be partnering with Dell to offer the first AI generative computer. And so this will actually just take artificial intelligence to a whole new level. It will take it to newer heights and bring it into the actual forefront and masses of persons who probably would not have actually gotten exposed to it unless they were to use like Google Gemini or ChatGPT for example. So with NVIDIA bringing AI to Dell laptops or Dell computers now, it will be carrying artificial intelligence to a whole new level. So as it stands with regards to what's happening in the markets right now, so NVIDIA is currently down. So the share price right now is at about $117 and it's been broken even over the previous day. So the last 24 hours it has been broken even, just down less than 1%. And so with that being said, the share actually had increased by about $2 right after the day after the GTC session was held, but it actually fell back since then. And when we actually checked the fear and greed index, the market is still in extreme fear. However, the numbers have been increasing, so it is actually at a 23 and it has been hovering at 22 for the last 2 weeks or so. And so at 23 it shows that the market is getting just a tiny bit more confident than they were a few weeks ago, and there are a number of factors which would cause this, but I'm not going to get into it today. So anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. If you do like it, I ask you to give us a thumbs up or heart wherever you consume this material. Leave any comments down below. I love to hear from you all and I will respond. And I just want to get that engagement, that community being built up, and share this episode with a friend who you believe will benefit from the information shared today. And last but definitely not least, subscribe to this channel and turn the notifications on so that you do not miss out on any new episodes as soon as they are launched. Alright, until next time, take care, love you guys, bye.